Hello, it's Graeme from Rogues. Today we'll be taking a look at our latest track, Foolish, and doing another mix breakdown. Let's dive right in. This is a session, roughly 65 tracks in total. We got some effects, we got vocals, synths, bass, and drums. Let's start with the drums. So kick, hats, shaker, snare, and there's a little rim shot thing that happens at the end. Into the main verse drum groove. So you got the kick, you got the snare, and the hats. Fairly similar to the intro, but the hats aren't filtered. The chorus groove. So one at a time, kick, another kick, another kick, snare, another snare, another snare, shaker, hats. And there's a few auxiliary things that happen there. There's a clap. And leading into the chorus, there's quite a few things that happen there. Into the second verse, not too much different from the first verse. That shaker comes in halfway through, where the pre-chorus starts. Into the next chorus, not too much different there. Into the bridge. Just kind of bringing it back to that filtered vibe from the intro. Lots of auxiliary things happen leading back into the last chorus here. So there's a reverse crash and the forward crash. You get the idea there. So a lot of time and effort has been spent by Christian putting these drums together, not locking everything to the grid as well. There's a lot of sort of flexibility in the timing, sort of giving it sort of a lazy feel and a more sort of human feel. Which sounds very cool. In terms of production, on the drum bus, there's actually no plugins whatsoever, and there's very, very light processing on everything else, if any. There's a lot of tracks here that don't have any plugins whatsoever. I guess it just goes to show the quality of the samples and whatever processing Christian's added to these stems before he gave them to me. I didn't have to do very much to get them to sit in the mix. They sound very good. The changes that I did make, though, like reduce some of the high frequencies in some of those kicks. They were very, very subby kicks. I think I added this one in particular just to give it more of a more clickiness to the kick. The other ones are very bassy there. And I think I did the same thing for the chorus snare. It's sort of a clap or rim shot sort of sound. I just added another one. There's a clipper and a transient designer, just taking out some of the attack and clipping the snare does the same thing. Just makes that snare a little bit less ear jabby. Valhalla Room adding a bit of reverb, room sound. Valhalla Vintage Verb doing pretty much the same on the other snare. DMX snare, nothing. A little bit of EQ on the hats, just taking out the low frequencies, which aren't really needed. Bit of a sort of megaphone effect on that rim shot in the beginning. So that bit there. delay clap. Valhalla Supermassive, adding lots of reverb to that delay clap. I think there is a delay that's, yeah, you can see it's printed into the audio file as well, but it's just extending that a little bit. Nothing. Removing a bit of resonance and high frequencies from the hats. There's a tremolo on that reverse crash towards the end of the song. So it kind of goes a bit crazy towards the end there, but it's a fairly subtle sound anyway. That's pretty much it for the drums. Let's have a look at the bass. So a couple of those notes seem to get a little bit lost. There's a tiny bit of automation happening there. The synth sounds, including these synth basses, are all from Arturia Analog Lab, I think, or V Collection. There is a real bass as well. So that was a jazz bass that I played just into the computer with this amp modeling. It's a Ampeg amp. Lots of compression, lots of limiting, saturation on the higher frequencies, but just on the warm tape. That is set quite high though, but the warm tape is quite a subtle effect. Multi-band compression, because it's a slap bass part and you get a burst of high frequency information in the bass, this just controls that. You can see how that reacts to mainly the slap parts. So it doesn't reduce the high frequencies across every other note, just those slaps mainly. The next EQ move, I have sort of smoothed out the bass quite a lot though, so this does reduce the high frequencies across the entire bass sound basically. Fab Filter Saturn, just making that 808 bass and other synth basses a little bit more crunchy. A little bit of compression on the bass verse, which is just, there's a bit of a sort of clickiness to the starting of the bass notes, which I just sort of dulled down a little bit. I didn't feel that was really needed for the chorus bass though. It sounds pretty good in the mix as it is. On the bass processing, a little bit of less low mids, but bass frequency bump. Compression, this is a sidechain compressor looking at the kick. So every time there's a kick, it's just ducking the bass for a split second. And that's pretty much it for the bass. Let's have a look at the synths. So we've got the chorus riff and the intro keys. And there's a pad. Nice floaty, spacey, airy pad. There's a sampled version of that just to give it more rhythm. There's a lead. And into the chorus. Bells. And the chorus riff, of course. Only thing different in the second verse is this little riff. And the pad keeps going. into the second chorus. There's a different bell that comes in, just layered. Lots of delay with the other one. And then you get into the bridge, which has the solo, the cool jazzy solo that Christian did. So you got the solo, you got the pad which is filtered, then you got those bridge stabby chords as well. And then into the last chorus, which is pretty much the same. In terms of production, on the synth bus, there's track spacer looking at the vocals, so just removing those sort of mid frequencies from the synths that would clash with the vocals, but only when they're needed. Lots and lots of EQ on all the synths, mainly taking out the mid frequencies, the sort of resonances around sort of 500 hertz, and just tidying up those synth sounds. Means you can have them up a lot higher in the mix as well without them becoming too offensive. Lots and lots of low frequencies taken out. Another track spacer on the bridge solo, just looking at the vocal. So there's a vocal thing that happens at the same time as that bridge solo, just making sure that those play nice. Although that's quite a subtle effect, 6.7%, so it's not doing very much. Lots and lots of sort of whistly resonances in the bells. Taking out a lot of low frequencies and mid frequencies. Something a little bit different happening on these chorus synth chords. Yeah, it's a subtle change. It's just making that synth a little bit wider with this ozone imager. Another track spacer on the verse synth riff, just looking at the verse lead vocal, 15%, just making sure those two things don't clash. RC20 on that as well, just making it a little bit more distorted. Channel EQ, yep, the usual synth EQ moves. And that's pretty much it. For the vocals, so there's obviously a little bit of timing and pitch editing that I do before I import it into this session. Let's have a listen.
Suburbs I was warming to the city view. Unfamiliarly it grew, and the traffic stopped my dream come true. Seems like today might last forever. Stay inside and blame it on the weather. Feels like I'm treading water on a tidal wave, but I'm not afraid. We're going down, at least I'm not the only one. I see your wings are getting stronger. We'll fly away to another day. They'll say we flew too close to the sun.
So there's the main lead vocal, which is up a lot louder than the others. There's a few doubles. A couple of these are panned hard left and right. Second verse is not too much different. Second chorus, there's a couple more doubles, but then also the harmonies.
Feels like I'm treading water.
So I'll just mute the lead vocal.
Feels like I'm treading water on a tidal wave, but I'm not afraid. We're going down, at least I'm not the only one.
So just filling that out a little bit more. On the bridge, there's a sort of spacey, distorted vocal.
At least I'm not the only one. Feels like
And then into the last chorus, not too much different there. There's a couple of ad-libs.
wings are getting stronger. Wings are getting stronger. We'll fly away to another day. They'll say we flew too close to the sun. Feels like I'm treading water. Feels like treading water. The only one. I see your wings are getting stronger. We'll fly away to another day. They'll say we flew too close to the sun.
I'm really happy with that ending. So you can kind of see how the lead vocals drop out here.
I see your wings are getting stronger.
The backing vocals all come up slightly in volume to compensate, to fill that gap. But then they all start fading out, and it just leaves you with that very, very dry vocal at the end.
They'll say we flew too close to the sun. They'll say we flew too close to the sun.
It's a cool effect. Yeah, so there's very, very little, if any, audible reverb or delay on that last vocal. So you go from this like really, really thick, wet, reverby vocal sound to this like almost completely dry vocal. On the vocal bass, there's mouth declick. That's just, I guess, tidying up any dodgy fades that might be around the place. Or sort of glitches from the editing. Channel EQ, lower frequencies. Yeah, just tidying up the low frequencies there. Multiband compression, just tidying up some of the mid frequencies in my voice.
On a tidal wave, but I'm not afraid.
But yeah, nothing too crazy there. Valhalla vintage verb only used in this one section right before the first chorus, just when the vocals all go really spacey.
Feels like I'm treading water.
So that's a cool effect. But that's pretty much the only spot that particular reverb is used. On the individual track level, lots and lots of compression. I'm doing that trick again where I emphasize all the S's and the T's. So emphasizing that frequency range, and then it's acting as a de-esser as well as a vocal compressor. EQ moves, yeah, just removing a lot of the low frequencies and some of the mid frequencies in my voice. Valhalla delay is ducking, but it's still quite audible throughout the entire thing. But yeah, whenever I stop singing, the volume comes up of the delay trails a little bit. And that's very similar settings throughout the entire thing. That bridge vocal has a lot more delay and a bit more sort of distortion in it from RC20. All of these ones are very, very similar effects. They're all going to this GW Vox verb, which is the similar sort of vocal reverb I used in the other mix breakdown. And it's got that sidechain compressor. Just looking at the vocal, all the different vocal levels. So when I'm actually singing, the level of that reverb is lower, and as I stop singing, the reverb level comes up a little bit. That's pretty much it for the vocals. Additional effects is this little slow down glide in the intro. I'll just play that by itself. There's a clap delay, a few effects just leading into that last chorus. There's an explosion. There's a reverse explosion into that. There's a cymbal effect. And that's pretty much it. I'll just play through the last chorus to have a listen.
On a tidal wave, but I'm not afraid. We're going down, at least I'm not the only one. I see your wings are getting stronger. We'll fly away to another day. They'll say we flew too close to the sun. Feels like I'm treading water. On a tidal wave, but I'm not afraid. We're going down, at least I'm not the only one. I see your wings are getting stronger. We'll fly away to another day. They'll say we flew too close to the sun.
And there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know. Christian and I will be happy to help. Go check out the final track if you haven't already. A lot of this will make a lot more sense if you've heard the final track. But yeah, thank you. We'll see you in the next one.